JDL USA presents Rabbi Nachum Shifren, Torah scholar, author, public speaker, and good friend of the late Rabbi Meir Kahana.
Welcome back to the JDL, our weekly, or whatever, however it turns out, right? Our weekly talk about the Parsha and about current events. And yes, the JDL, the Jewish Defense League. It's morphed into definitely morphed into different scenarios, different different paths, as it were. And we encourage everybody to be involved with the JDL because the JDL is basically the message of Rabbi Meir Kahana, Hashem Yikom Damo. And we may be small, but you can never tell. It's like the rabbi said, when you plant a seed, you never know what's going to happen with the growth on that seed. It could morph into a whole orchard, And this is the secret of the JDL and the secret of the message of Rabbi Kahana, who brought back to their heritage many, many, many people, women and men, who heard him speak. I had a Chabad rabbi once tell me in Los Angeles that he was at the UCLA campus. He was the shaliach, the emissary, as it were, of Chabad. Many of you know about Chabad. And he was there for many years at UCLA. And in one night, he never saw more people come to UCLA when Rabbi Kahana spoke. More than when Rabbi Kahana spoke. This gives testimony to the greatness that he was. Incredible orator, an amazing Jew, with a message for our young people today more than ever before. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Parsha and a little bit about what's going on presently. Many people are concerned with what's going on. We should be. This week's Parsha starts out with VAYAKHEL-PEKUDEI and the building of the Beit HaMikdash, the building of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. All of the details, the pillars, the curtains, the snaps on the curtains, the Aron, of course, the tabernacle, the altar, everything in its measurements and whatnot. When God created the world, there was no Torah at that time, obviously, and the world was just tohu vavohu. It was just kind of like a wild jungle, and in order for the world to continue, there needed to be a temple. There needed to be a Jewish people that will observe God's commandments in that temple. There needed to be a temple service with the priests doing their priestly duties. But everything had to be in a specific gvul, a specific limitation. And if you look to the Parsha, it has every detail precisely. It has to be 5 centimeters by 10 centimeters, 10 amos by 10 amos, whatever it is, because God is infinite. And the only way that we can relate to his infinite power and his infinite light is for us to do things in a micromanaged, a broken down scale, right, of infinity, and that is the temple in Jerusalem. So you can read about all those details and see what goes on there, and with God's help, we will have the service in the temple soon in our day. And it's a good idea to brush up on what exactly is going to take place at that time, because that's exactly what's going to happen in this week's Parsha, actually last week's Parsha. One of the things that we talked about this before, Rabbi Kahana was very keen on Jewish identity and what does it mean to be Jewish. To that end, he talked about respect. If we, ladies and gentlemen, do not have self-respect for who we are, our mission in life, what is our goal, what is our purpose here while we're alive, we need to know what that is, and that is we're Jews. And what identifies us as Jews is not bagels and lox. Matter of fact, I wouldn't eat that stuff if it was the last meal on earth, to tell you the truth. Don't be part of that stuff. Not good for your health. Anyway, Moving right along. Self-respect gives respect. This is what Rabbi Khan used to tell us. And I would say that what's happening now in the Middle East is what should have happened many, 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 many years ago. Now, will this culminate in some sort of new respect for Jews and for Israelis? No question about it. What Israel's Air Force has done to Iran, I think people are looking going, wow, these Jews actually did that. I don't think we're going to have any more trouble with people shooting missiles. If, and there's a big if, we don't get rid of them first. They say that 90% of their munitions and ballistic missile potential is gone. I don't know about that. Do you? Can you be sure about that? What we do know is that they're still shooting missiles. I would say that there shouldn't be any water, any benzene, any oil, no food, no water. Nothing should be allowed in Iran. Put a blockade, let them starve to death until they stop shooting those missiles. Okay? I can't imagine. Somebody said that there was talk about a ceasefire. Why? Are these people still shooting missiles at us or not? And who's going to compensate? Who's going to compensate those farmers in the north whose lands were bombed and scorched and denuded, and all the people who lost their apartments and their homes in the Galilee, and now even in Tel Aviv and in Haifa? We're just going to sign a ceasefire, and then that's it? We'll be buddies? Who's going to pay that toll? That's my question. You can probably figure out what my answer would be. You guys want us to stop bombing you? Pay up. All the money that you were going to send to Switzerland and to Stockholm and to Oslo and all those other places, you need to give it to us, or else you're not going to be alive, right? What needs to be done is all the mullahs over there need to be kidnapped, brought back to Tel Aviv, put in a prison, and one by one kill them until all of our Israeli brothers and sisters are restituted and compensated for the amazing damage that was done to them. Moving right along. There was a woman named Rachav. Some of you know about this woman. Ultimately, she, incredibly enough, married Joshua. When Joshua was in the book of Joshua, it talks about it. Joshua was, after Moses' death, Joshua, of course, was to lead the Jewish people into the land, which was the covenant between God and the Jewish people. Rachav said to Joshua the following: you won't have to worry about the Canaanites who inhabited the land at the point. And why was that? Because it says in the Torah, you can't leave the land lie fallow for 4 years, which is the time that the Jews were in the desert. Rather, you have to have some sort of upkeep, and that was the role of the Canaanites, which, in fact, if you look at the very first phrase in the book of Genesis, as it opens up, talks about why is the creation. Let me get rid of this real quick. Right. Why is the creation started when the Torah is a book of law, right? Torah means law. So why are we learning about the stars and the heaven and the fish and the whales? What's the point? So look at that when you have a chance, those of you who haven't already. And it mentions the Canaanites that God told the very first chapter of Genesis does not talk about the Torah. It talks about heaven and earth. God being the creator of everything belongs to him. He created the Canaanite nations to occupy the land of Israel until the Jewish people come in. And then he said, these people are going to be displaced and you'll take over them. That's our claim to the land of Israel. We don't have to bow down to anybody or knuckle under anybody or whatever. It says it right there. And many people have admonished Bibi the whole time he was in the United Nations for 11 years. He never once mentioned the book of Genesis and the creation of the state of Israel. I should say the land of Israel. That's it. It's real simple. You don't have to, sometimes Rabbi Kana used to tell us that sometimes solutions to problems don't have to be, circuitous. They can be quite simple. And this is one of them, right? I wish I had more people to lambast and debate, but I guess people see me and they figure, well, they're not going to get anywhere with me, which is probably true. It is true, but this is our answer to those people that say, well, it's Palestine, it's this and that and the other. This constant Jewish obsession with somehow one-upping the goy in a kayan, in a debate or whatever, it never ends. There's no way that you can. They have what they believe. We have what we believe. What we need to do is, with a straight spine, stand up and say, the entire land of Israel, from the river to the sea, as they say, it belongs to us and not to you. And if you have a problem with it, make an appointment to see God. Help him straighten it out. Otherwise, it is what it is. And also, five wars were fought over the land of Israel, and each time the Arabs lost. They should probably understand that this is a no-win deal for them. And the land of Israel belongs only to the Jewish people. So getting back to what we said, Rachav was a harlot, by the way. Strange, very, very strange story. She told Joshua that the Canaanites, before you go into the land, they're going to flee when they hear when they already heard what God did at the passing of the Red Sea, the miracles, and the Jewish people are filled with miracles. We look at Haman, and let me finish that. Rachav told Joshua, there'll be no problem. These people are going to leave on their own. And that's exactly the way we like it. Save ammunition, save having to, send troops, whatever. Not that we weren't going to send troops, but it makes it a lot easier. The same thing with Haman. We just got done with Purim, right? What did Haman's wife Zeresh say to Haman? She said that if Mordecai is a Jew, you're not going to be able to engage him. He will outdo you, meaning that Mordecai has more power than Haman does. Haman was second in command of the entire Persian nation. What could have been the problem with, murdering the Jews? Well, we saw. And miracles happen with us, and we don't rely on miracles, however. People. I talk to people and I say, well, why did we need Joshua to conquer the 31 kings in the land of Israel? Why didn't God? He created heaven and earth. He could have just had these people, 86th, and that's the end of it. Joshua comes in, they start planting, harvesting, boom, all of a sudden Sukkot comes up. Well, what's the problem here? Answer: God wants things done in a way that resembles nature. It's not natural for an enemy to be vanquished without a vanquisher, right? So this was the whole purpose there. What Rabbi Kana used to tell us, and gave some examples like I just mentioned. A bully lives on his reputation. When somebody comes and gives him a big smack or a smackdown, like which is happening in Iran right now, they fall like a stack of cards. I would say if I was daring, I would say within a week, Iran's going to crumble. They're done, right? I think that the October 7th experience and what those animals did to the Jewish people, say what you will about the Nueva festival, which was a Chilul Hashem big time, but nonetheless, they were Jews and they were sacrificed, okay? I think that everybody had that in mind. When those pilots jumped in that plane, they knew that it was time to take revenge, and they are doing it. And we can only hope that they raise the white flag, in times of, there's no such thing as a ceasefire here. they have to be brought to the last man. And the last man puts his gun down and say, whatever you say, I give you an unconditional surrender. You do whatever you want to us. And that's called unconditional surrender. So with the help of God and the brave Israeli pilots and also the Golani Brigade up in northern Israel, and all those people that Sanchanim, the brave soldiers, may they continue to wipe out our enemy. And again, if we want respect, we have to have self-respect. Self-respect means they lob a missile at us, we send them back 100. Okay? And that's called a Jewish fist. But we also have to have a Jewish mind, as Rabbi Kana reminded us. We have to fill our lives with Torah, ladies and gentlemen, Torah, reading it, studying it, bringing our children in. Pretty soon we're going to have Passover. Passover is the exodus from Egypt. You know, a lot of people didn't want to leave. As many of you remember, 4/5 of the people didn't want to leave. They were happy to build pyramids for Pharaoh and get in return some cucumbers and some herring. Pretty weird, right? But this is not Jewish strength. This is Jewish weakness. So that having been said, please support your JDL. We have Naama here doing tremendous work. She's by herself, needs help. Hopefully, I would like to encourage you to let's engage people. Let's expand the breadth, the tentacles of the JDL. Let's try to get more speaking engagements. I am free to speak with anybody, as I told Naama, that I'm very open to it. Usually these people are cowards and they won't debate, but you never know. Maybe in your community there is somebody. Please do. Please be active. Please help us. Please donate. We need your support. With the help of God, we will see great miracles. Interesting that Passover is coming up, an amazing festival of miracles. And in our time, at this time right now, we have amazing miracles. Who would ever believe that Iran, the center of terrorism in the whole world, is being subjugated by a Jewish army? And this is the story. God bless everybody and have a good Shabbos. All the best. Thank you for watching.